unless you have all the money to pay for completely for your next home or real estate purchase, we will need a mortgage. Today, we have a special guest, Mr. Abdullah, with a great mortgage company called Barakah, and we're going to be learning from him and Wisdom Wednesday. Welcome, everyone. Nasser Qureshi, a Realtor Daddy with Wisdom Wednesday TV talk show. And we have gentlemen here. We're going to talk about loan and mortgages in a special way, Islamic way. Mr. Abdullah, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Wisdom Wednesday TV show.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nasser, for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, can't complain. Everything is good. Woke up this morning. I'm still
Alhamdulillah.
working. How about yourself?
Fantastic.
How's everything on your end?
Everything is going good. As we are knocking on the door of 2026, everybody and everyone wants to have and know what's going to happen in the real estate in 2026. And this is a great time to have you as our guest. So tell us, who is Abdullah and what do you do?
Absolutely. So I am Abdullah Talukder. Some people know me by Omar. And so I've been in mortgage the last about decade or so. Prior to that, I was at Wells Fargo as a banker. So my entire career, I've been in banking and mortgage. So with that being said, at Wells Fargo, I started off as a teller, and then from teller position became assistant branch manager. And then short after that, I didn't know Islamic finance existed myself around the 2015, 2016 era. Did a lot of research at that time while I was still working at Wells Fargo. And then alhamdulillah, I was able to see that there is an impact with Islamic finance. While it wasn't at that time perfect, at that time it was maybe 10, 15 years old within America. So much for it to change and evolve as it has. And now with Barakah Mortgage, and Barakah Mortgage has kind of will be taking Islamic finance to the next step. And I have already been seeing hints and pieces of how it will be doing that in the past 6 months that I've been here. I have experience with all of the Islamic finance companies pretty much. I started off my career in Islamic finance at Guidance Residential for a couple of years. And then I transitioned into an underwriter after that for guaranteed rate. And then after that, I went back into origination for Devon Bank, for Devon Islamic, based out of Chicago, where I was assistant vice president. And then now I started Barakah Mortgage, who is part of Rate. So alhamdulillah, it's kind of a full circle. And I love seeing how the Islamic finance sector has evolved in the past 10 years in my presence.
Very well. You are seasoned and experienced, obviously know what you're doing. Tell us what Islamic financing is.
So Islamic finance, the elevator pitch, it's just a much more fair approach to lending for home financing. So that's what it is. At the end of the day, it's still a business. It's just more so acceptable for us as Muslims because there's no interest, and it's a product that has some sort of equity involved. So as a consumer, the consumer is not taking all of the risks such that they take with like conventional or FHA or anything else out there. When you purchase a home, so many people these days are kind of priced out of buying a home. So the affordability and everything, it's the largest purchase someone ever makes in their lifetime, right? And so with Islamic finance, you want to be sure a little bit more equitability amongst both parties. And not only that, when you look at the consumer side and, the products aside, when you look at theology way back when, all of your monotheistic religions say usury is bad. But the systems have been done for about 200 years now to pretty much do exactly that. So it is more so a predatory kind of practice. And so this is, while it's similar because of the rules that we have into the country, it's the best effort being made to kind of neutralize and be fair to all.
Muslims, we know, what is Islamic financing is, the concept of it. And our audience is Muslims and non-Muslims, realtors and non-realtors, the public. Without going if in too deep of the mechanics of it, for an average audience who is not Islamic believer, and we are told in society interest. What are the interest rates? What are the first conversation we have with anybody about buying a house? Interest rates. And now Mr. Abdullah is telling us no interest. So can you just tell our audience the mechanics, outlines of Islamic financing, not in no interest? So what happened? So they're able to process this and digest this concept.
Absolutely. So it's very simple. It's a very simple process. I guess it's much more simple to me because I've been doing it for so long, but we do what's called the murabaha transaction. That's the Arabic term. And so cost plus profit. So it's very simple. And when you think about it, a lot of businesses here are doing that same model. So we purchased the home first for, let's say, $300,000. As the consumer agrees with the realtor on the price of the home at 300,000. We purchased the home with 300 minus the down payment. You can do as low as 5% down, even as low as 3% down in some cases. And then we purchase the home and then we sell it back to the consumer on a second transaction with our profit added on. Now, the profit is the agreed upon price that we agree upon, and that's very equitable to what you would see in the market right now. And so, for example, right now, as you know, the interest rates, as they call it, it's, low sixes for a 30-year, maybe high fives in some cases. So when you look at that, we work backwards and 270,000 onto the home. So on the Murabaha contract, you will see that the home is actually purchased at, let's say it's 250,000 profit. So it's 300 plus the 250, so 550. But by doing so, you're buying it directly from us. And by buying it from us, then the inheritance we're assuming the risk with you. And what are those risks, you may ask? And so the risks really are such that, one of the biggest things is there is no promissory note within Islamic finance. Everything you buy with a lender in America has a promissory note, some way, some fashion. And that is a instrument used to pretty much assign value to whatever is being purchased. And then, it pretty much says that the lender is not at risk for anything. All risks are due upon the consumer, the purchaser. And so what we do is that's not asset based. That doesn't become asset based. Then that whole purchase becomes based on the guidelines of a piece of paper ultimately. The perfect example is Hurricane Harvey. About 7-8 years ago, Hurricane Harvey happened here. And what happened was a lot of the homes were not in flood zones. They didn't have flood insurance. Until we had a third party get involved, which was FEMA, a lot of those homes, what ended up happening? The promissory note stood. They said, oh, well, that's not really on us. So a lot of people had to, go through bankruptcy, Chapter 7, Chapter 11, whatever, because they didn't have the money to, do anything because their homes were flooded. Now, let's take that same example and let's apply Islamic finance. Well, our contract is based on the asset, the home that you purchased. And so if the home itself is, you can't live in it, it's not livable, we will at that time pause the contract, see what are the options, what's happening. We'll get, an inspector out there, whatever it takes. We'll take what the insurance company says and all that. Are you wanting to keep it? What's your options? If you want to sell it at that time, that negative equity is pretty much where you will be, you'll just take that negative equity, but you'll be able to walk away without any other recourse. Meaning, let's say that $300,000 house is now valued at $250,000. Well, in that case, then, that negative $50,000 equity is all you lost. You'll sell it for $250,000 and then we will not ask for that negative, because what happens is that's the cost of doing business. And so that's a risk that inherently we're taking with you. And so Hurricane Harvey is really when Islamic finance kind of took off in Texas, because that's when we kind of realized, and this is just one of the examples as well. So, I mean, the forbearance as well. I worked at Wells Fargo as a home advisor as well. So 120 days, no payment. You know what happens. It goes to eviction process and whatnot. If you come to us prior to, like month 3 or month 4 without a payment, if you come to us proactively and tell us, hey, we're having some difficulty making payments, what we can do is we can grant forbearance. It's of course case by case example, but that's what that comes down to. And it could be 6 months, it could be 3 months, it could be 9 months. But at the end of that, you're still unsuccessful in making the payment. We'll tell you, okay, go ahead and sell the house, and then the profit is yours. Just owe us what's owed upon us, and then that's it. So it's really, when in summary, it's just a much more fair product for the consumer. And you don't have to be a Muslim to get it. That's one of the other misconceptions out there. You have to be of Muslim faith. No. With all of the rules and regulations, just a couple months ago, I helped a Hindu brother out, and, he was his religion also didn't allow for that, but he saw value in what I was providing, so he went with us.
Great. I was going to ask you that question, and which you answer now. Thank you for doing that. Since there is no interest, it's a contract, it's a business contract between the purchaser and the lender, Barakah Mortgage. One will simply ask a question.
No, so the interest rates you can compare to us like anything in the mortgage market in America. We have to give everything by rate so you can compare us to the likes of other competitors. And so that is actually a rule, and so a law. And so with that being said, we calculate our profit through that contract, and then we give you what's called a profit rate. And then that profit rate, you can substitute interest rate for, and then you can compare the two. And then what you'll often find, one of the other biggest myths of Islamic finance is that it's actually not more expensive than anything else. It's very, very competitive with what you'll find in the conventional markets. And so like right now, as I said, I had someone maybe a month or 2 ago, he was comparing me to conventional, like I want to try it. And so he came to me and he's like, you're actually coming cheaper than Chase right now. So I was like, yeah. So, it's a myth. And he, through that client, this is something that we oftentimes get is that, oh, I heard y'all are going to be always more expensive. That's just a myth.
Outside of Islamic financing, as a full-time real estate agent and real estate professional, overall, considering everything, I make a bold statement publicly on social media and everywhere that interest rate do not matter, in my professional opinion. Very simple. The reason it do not matter is it's not about the interest rates. And real estate is about the deal, a kind of deal person is getting. If a person is getting $400,000 house, clearly $400,000 house for $300,000 with 10% interest rate, who cares about the interest rate? You're making $100,000 equity instantly. So it is ridiculous and childish think about the interest rate, generally speaking, outside of the Islamic financing. And I appreciate you giving an angle and concurring this from Islamic financing perspective, that interest rates do not matter, because this is the first mental block that comes in average home buyer. The question, a stereotype question, and 99% of the time, they do not know what that entails, what that means, the interest rate or whatnot. And I'm glad that Barakah Mortgages are able to help any people from any background. It's not just strict to one followers, Muslims. I think there are federal laws. You cannot discriminate between the...
Wow. So there's a Reg Z and ECOA, so Equal Credit Opportunity Act. We have to offer it to everybody. And we have no problem in doing so. We focus on the Muslims, but we are happy to help anyone and everyone.
Yeah. So how people contact you?
So there's a few ways to contact me. On LinkedIn, you can look me up, Abdullah Talukder. On Facebook, you can look me up, Abdullah Omar Talukder. Same thing on Instagram, the Omar Talukder. My cell phone, 940-613-4913. My email is all over it publicly. And then, you can also look up Barakah Mortgage and you'll see my entire team, and I'm listed there as well. So you'll see me all over, and I'm making more of a social media presence. So it's hard to miss me at this time. I work very closely with a lot of realtors. And some of the cool things about what sets us apart from anybody else is that, find your loan officers and get answers and whatnot, right? So from us, we have alerts go to a realtor. The borrower is conditionally approved. The file was submitted into underwriting. We have clear to close. All of these are automated from our end. So as soon as these milestones are met, you as a realtor will be getting these notifications. And so with that being said, you will be getting those notifications just to ease the process for you. And that gives you a stronger ground to stand on when you're talking to a listing agent or anything like that. Hey, we're already done. And not only that, I mean, I started off the conversation as I've been at Guidance, I've been at Devon, but why did I decide to switch to Barakah? Well, they're doing some amazing things here, and I would like to kind of get into that. So they use AI here to do underwriting. So your average W-2 income, which is most of us, they don't have to go into underwriting. Probably a good chunk of the times, I would say 7 out of 10 times, they don't have to go through underwriting, which means a faster process because you have all of your payroll stuff going through like ADP, Salesforce, Gusto, all those payroll. And once you are able to link that, we don't need to go to the underwriter. We have what's called reps and warrants. And so the AI will issue the approval and it will issue it through your own portal that you have through your payroll. And that's just one of the examples. I mean, we have same day mortgage. The same day is taking this AI tool and enhancing it even further where you submit your bank, you can link your bank to it and then it just verifies how much money you have in there. And it's just such a cool tool. Alhamdulillah, I was able to do out of the few closings I had last month, 2 of them, alhamdulillah, were the same day. And what does that mean? The delay was on the appraisal. The delay was, believe it or not, on compliance. When I say compliance, on a Texas mortgage, you have to wait 7 days from the day of application to the day of closing. So we closed on the 8th day, the 8th business day in a mortgage. So then, Nasser, by you tell me, I mean, you have a clear to close. We could have closed that file in 14 days, but we had the whole 30 days, obviously, on per contract. So that's how fast the AI and the processing here is, and they're only enhancing it more as we are learning AI even better through. So it's either, and I'm sure you know this in the real estate business, you either get with the technology or you kind of get, timed out, phased out. And so alhamdulillah, they are definitely using technology to the benefit. I mean, they have some cool tools like as you're submitting, as a consumer submitting the application, it's reviewing your application in real time. And without without me needing to touch it as a loan officer, mortgage advisor, it can send you a pre-approval without me needing to, you know, send you anything if all of the parameters are correct. And that's, it sounds kind of good. And you might say, okay, how often does this actually happen? Well, you'd be surprised if you fill out a good application linking your bank account, let's say your Chase bank account with, you work for a company, and you have W-2s and you have good history of W-2s. It's more often than not. So, I mean, it's really eye opening as to how quickly we can get a smoother transaction for all parties, because Islamic finance unfortunately gets the bad rep of, oh, they delay closings, the customer service is in disarray, et cetera, et cetera. We're turning all of that around. I mean, all of the closings I've had in the past 4 or 5 months have been top notch. I mean, no complaints whatsoever. They've been recurring clients of mine and they absolutely love what we've done.
I'm glad that Barakah Mortgage is using the technology and AI. And yes, I totally agree with you about the communication bridge, right? That AI isn't keeping the real estate agent informed, right? And I personally stay on top of things between the mortgage officer and the client, the buyer, right? So a lot of other agents, they just say, okay, go get approved, and then that's it. So that can see, wow, 8 days closing, good. I like that. I'm very glad that Barakah Mortgage using the top of the notch updated technology. And I like that myself. I very adaptable and stay updated. So what states Barakah Mortgage can help people?
Inshallah, right now we're licensed in 37. Inshallah, soon that's to become 50. So we will be able to help you in your home purchase in Hawaii, even, inshallah. So that won't be, that's our goal.
So anyone in the United States within those 37 states can contact you, not just Texas, correct?
Correct. Correct. And if
Okay.
not me, then I have a big team, mashallah, that kind of migrated with me. And so if not us, between us, me and three others, we have coverage of all 50, inshallah.
Residential and commercial, or what kind?
Unfortunately, no, it's only residential, but you can have your primary home, second home, and investment home. You can have up to 11 homes with us at one time in any
Mhm.
combination, one primary, two second homes, and then the rest can be investment. So, yeah.
Any fix and flip type of mortgages that
So,
Barakah
so I
Mortgage
think that's
does?
a great question. That kind of brings us to the next type. Flip and flip. As long as it passes the appraisal, we can fund on it, whatever the appraisal value is, and it meets the value. But that kind of is a good segue into the next question. Why Barakah Mortgage, I guess, would be evolving, as I said, why they're going to take Islamic finance to the next level. So what we're kind of working on right now is some of the products that's not available to Islamic finance. That is your construction loan. That's your physician loan. That is your bank statement loans. That's your non-QM financing that's not available, applicable to Islamic finance. We're working on all of that. And we have a few Shaykh on board, the Sheikh Joe Bradford being the top of them. So he's working very closely with us and our regulators, our compliance, with all the departments to see how do we bridge the gap and how do we make it Islamic. So we have the full support of Sheikh Joe Bradford. And I mean, Barakah Mortgage is a DBA of Rate.com. So Rate.com is the second largest mortgage company in America. And inshallah, by 2026, it'll be number one. And so they have over 80 types of products available on their end. And so we are going to sift through those 80 products and ultimately kind of which one do we want to apply Islamic financing on? And then how do we get to that level? So we have a priority list, and on that priority list is construction loans. We have so many people who want the construction jumbo. So we're aiming to get higher on the limits for Texas cashed out refinances. And then we also have physician loans, and we also have reno loans. You said flip and sell. So reno loans are also on that.
Anything close to or like similar product like DSCR loan?
Oh, yes. DSCR is also on there. I believe that's like 6 or 7 on the list of priority, but DSCR is definitely on there for your investors to look at that. So that's also one of the ones.
Okay. So people can reach out for investment properties. Definitely, they can have up to 11 houses with you, and also yes to the fix. And this is great. I'm very excited about Barakah Mortgage. They are making a good come in the mainstream, and I see a lot of potential. And the people should contact you. Let's talk a little bit about paint us a little picture, a message out to the people that what they should have to apply a mortgage with you. What are the credit score documents? We don't want to go through the whole list, just a little bulleted points. Yeah.
So if you are a W-2 buyer, you will need 2 years W-2 history, 2 most recent pay stubs, and your asset statement, whether that's coming from your 401k or your bank. And then, of course, a driver's license. That's about it on the W-2 side. So it's very simple, just 4 pieces of information, and then you just fill out the application. That's when it gets a little bit more hands-on. So I'll need 2 years of your most recent business tax returns and your personal tax returns and your ID. If you're going to need 1099 or W-2, I'll need 2 years of those as well. And then with that, I run it through the system. If it has any difficulty, I manually run your income on self-employment. On W-2, the system, alhamdulillah, is able to calculate it pretty accurately. I haven't had one that it doesn't calculate accurately.
And what's the ideal credit score a person should have? Just
for Islamic at this time, 620. We're trying to get that to 580 or lower. And then we're also trying to get Fannie approved. I know Fannie just said that no credit score is fine, but they haven't really pushed it out yet. So now they need to push it out. And how does that kind of look for? Because if you have no credit score, then there's still going to be ramifications of either a higher cost of it or something. Something's got to. So yeah, but that's the credit score we're aiming for. We have down payment assistance. It depends on county by county, city by city, state by state. They have over 150 DPA, down payment assistant models here. It's just depends on which, Harris County, Fort Bend County. I know Harris County has one. Fort Bend County, we haven't heard back yet from, but I think we have. I think we identified 2 programs that could potentially work. And those are income driven, obviously. So if you within the income, you have to be within a percentage of what's called the AMI. And if your income's a little bit higher, you unfortunately don't qualify. What keeps me going? I got 2 little ones. So 4-year-old, she's about to turn 4, and almost a year old. And then, of course, my wife. So between us 2 and the community, we try to do everything. So not only am I, last night I was working until 9 o'clock, but then there's days where I'm with my family from 3 o'clock onwards. So for me, it's having a good balance, giving back to the community. I am on the board for my mosque here, local mosque here as well. So giving back to the community in any way I can. And as well, just helping people out. And that's what kind of comes down to. For me, that's very important.
Thank you. Any author and book that really inspires you and made a difference in your life?
Yeah. So, I ground myself on trying leadership. There's so many leadership books, right? Well, one of the ones that I've been reading that really encapsulated me was it's by Yasser Qadhi, believe it or not. It's the Sirah book that he has, and it's right up there. And in that book, just reading what our prophet kind of had to go through, and then kind of aligning how we have it here. And then when you talk about it in the other sense, there's a book, I forget the name of it. I read it maybe a month or so ago. I'll have to get back to you on that. But my best book is The Sealed Nectar and then The Prophet, the story of the Prophet. Because he's our, he's who we follow at the end of the day. Favorite food is definitely my mom's food, but when she doesn't cook, I'm from Bangladesh, so and the stereotype is true, the fish and everything, but we also do love al chawal is my comfort food. That's lentils and rice, but my other favorite food is just a very good cheeseburger. Cheeseburger is one of my weakest links.
Last question that I ask to all my guests is...
My one message is, if you can be nice and if you can better yourself by 1% a day, it's not much, but just make progress little by little. Because oftentimes we try to set goals that are unreachable. And not only that, go out of your way to be nice to someone. In Islam, a smile is charity, right? That's what we're told. But we are so far away from that. You're driving somewhere, you're in a hurry, you yell at the car in front of you. As a community, as a world, we're so far from that. So just one little thing, it might soften your heart to make, a little bit nicer, and even for your growth as well. So my biggest thing is just be nicer to people. That will go such a long way here in the world we live in. Us living in Houston, you hear about road rage all the time. That's something that can be avoided, but it's a silly thing.
Abdullah, great session. Learn a lot more. I'm sure we can learn from you more, and we'd love to have you again. Thank you for spending time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Nasser. It was a pleasure. And if you guys have any questions, Mr. Nasser has all my information, and I'm sure he'll post it as well. Thank you.
Yes, I will.